Our thoughts are with the family. And another thing I'd mention is whenever there is something on the national scale like this, it starts as a local response. It starts right there at the community. It starts with knowing how to stop bleeding. It starts with how to do BLS and chest compressions. And this is something that we as Americans can do, and we're encouraging this in the Midland, Odessa community, and we really encourage this at Medical Center Hospital. And you guys out there, wherever you're watching nationwide, you can make a huge difference for people, because when they arrive here, the response can stay local. Because if you've practiced this, you don't need to call in the state. You don't need to call the governor. You don't need to activate FEMA and national, resources. So we can do this. We can come together, and I think our community here has shown how we can do that. And I think our families are going to come together, and we're going to become stronger from this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's turn it over to Matt. Matt.
Hi, my name is Matt Collins. I was the incident commander for this incident. First of all, of course, our hearts and prayers go out to all of the victims and their families and our hospital staff as well. This has been a very, very difficult situation. We really have 3 phases of operations inside the hospital when this happens. We have an activation phase, and then we have operational periods. We've just completed operational period 1 and 2, and at 7:30 we went into the final phase, which is a recovery phase, and that's where we start putting everything back together, getting back to normal operations, and taking care of our staff, and to continue to take care of those patients that have just gone through this horrific situation. So with that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. Of course, we're not able to release names or any information regarding the victims.
Sir, for the one victim who was transferred, the child that was under 2 years old, were they transferred to Lubbock? Do you know the status of that child?
I am not certain, but they were life-flighted to Lubbock or Children's in Dallas.
Do we know if the person who was deceased here was part of the original 5 that were reported dead?
My understanding, all I can tell you is we know that that person was involved in this incident and had a fatal gunshot wound.
What personally was going through, your staff and your mind when patients started coming in and calls started coming in? What was going through your guys' mind as a hospital staff?
Honestly, it's not a time for us to think a lot. We've done a lot of preparation for this day, and we work through these things in simulated situations several times a year. So everybody has a role that they fall into, and everybody fell into that role. And the hospital and all of the staff performed admirably, but ultimately we're here to serve those victims and the families, so it's not really about us today.
I believe earlier the CEO mentioned that you have an area specifically for families. I know you're under lockdown right now, but is that area still open to families who are trying to get to the hospital?
We do. Of course, this happens when all of the media is released and social media reports. People come to the hospital seeking reports on their loved ones. So we have a location inside the hospital where we congregated all of those families, and we had a senior nursing official work to reunify them and get as much information as we could to each and every family member. It's my understanding that that room is down to just a couple of families now, and that we've communicated with everybody that we can.
Are there any streets that are going to be blocked off or closed down to funnel traffic through, or have things died down?
We're going to keep the hospital into a lockdown situation until approximately 10 p.m. just for staff comfort and safety, but the hospital is back to normal operations at this time.
So if you guys had been less prepared, how do you think the situation could have been different? It seems like that preparation made the difference.
It did make the difference. I can't tell you because we are prepared, but I think if we were not, we may not have had the same rapid response to the situation and the great outcomes that we had. I mean, we saved 12 people today.
Can you confirm that the hospital is in need of more nurses to show up to help with victims, or?
We're using our own internal communication systems to make sure that we're adequately staffed for the unit for the evening. And yes, we are actually above normal staffing levels for this evening, going into the weekend. And the hospital is back to normal operations.
As of right now, do you guys need more nurses or?
Right now, it's being reported to us that we're fully staffed. We activate what's called call trees, where managers start them, then they call one person after another. And we had the exact response that we would have ever hoped for in the situation. Not only for nurses, but for doctors and all of the other support staff and police officers, security, everybody that we need to manage an incident like this.
And for people who are watching at home right now, I know that you mentioned your blood supplies are good. That's very good news. And then your supplies inside the hospital are doing well as well. But what can they do to help?
You know, as our CEO said a few minutes ago, the community needs your prayers. The victims need your prayers. Families need your prayers. The hospital staff needs your prayers. What we call cash emergency supplies. So when there is a situation like this where we consume lots of supplies while giving the care, we're able to replenish them quickly enough to maintain operations.
I think that's pretty much everything I have, except for you said that y'all were moving into the third phase, which is kind of putting things back together and going back to normal. Is that because most of the patients are kind of getting in that stable, condition?
Those patients, there's 8 that are 7 critical and 2 that are serious. So I can't give you an update on their exact status, but they are receiving the appropriate care at the level of care they're at.
I just have a quick question for the doctor, and we can just keep the mic on you. Have you responded to any of this situation before? And when you did start getting the calls that this was happening, as a doctor, what went through your mind at first?
First, I would emphasize that this is not about the doctor. It's not about us. It's about the family. But myself, personally, I'm an Iraq war veteran. I served 12 years in the military and served in the Second Battle of Fallujah and Baghdad. And this is something that, unfortunately, I'm very experienced at, mass casualty situations. And this is what led us to form the preparation process with hundreds and hundreds of people that you are not seeing here that are very intricately involved in a situation like this. So as far as for the public out there, the message for them, I think what they can do to help, you know, we always say thoughts and prayers, that's great, but go out there, take a BLS class, go out there, learn about how to stop bleeding, go out there and practice safety. Don't text and drive. Don't do things where you put yourself and others in danger. And this is something that we can do as a nation to help here.
Was there anything based on either possibly a weapon that may have been used or the ammunition that was used that made this worse than maybe a typical gunshot wound or anything else?
So typically I can reliably comment on what's happening in the walls of the emergency room. So it'd be speculation about what is going on the streets and what streets are closed and what weapons were used. I don't want to say the wrong information, so.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you confirm any local law enforcement? Are there any police officers in the hospital right now who are either recovering in stable condition or in critical condition that you can say?
I don't want to say the wrong information, but from my understanding of the situation, the vast majority came to Medical Center Hospital. We are the highest level trauma center for over 30,000 square miles in this region. So over 30,000 square miles. So the majority came here. There were a few that went to some outlying trauma centers as well. So who was an officer and who wasn't and who was where, it would be speculation on my end. Our end, we were just trying to do the basics, stop bleeding, resuscitate, and use our well-trained techs, nurses, staff, physicians, everyone to get the job done.
I've got one more for you.
Yes, sir.
So going back to that preparation, you as a doctor, is there anything specific that you guys prepared that was super beneficial in the position of a doctor?
These things don't just happen. You have to prepare. So everything from who comes in to where family members go, to how to keep ourselves safe, how to prevent wrong messages going out to the media, how to keep the calm and do this in a calm situation. this doesn't happen by accident. This takes years of preparation, and I encourage every community to do this. This is not an urban community here, but this happened here. And this can happen anywhere across America. And I think what I personally took from this is a team here in West Texas, in the deserts of West Texas, was maximally prepared at this trauma center to take care of everyone. And I don't think this is beyond us. Anybody can do this. Please be prepared.
Thank you.
I've got one more. I do have the information on the family center is located at a setup at Ector County Annex Building on 1010 East 8th Street. 1010 East 8th Street. And that's for the family center, the reunification center there, okay? Any other questions before we wrap this up?
How many doctors were called in?
Man,
Several. We called in
a lot.
So we had our basic emergency department crew, and then on top of that, we have backup emergency department crew. But often you have to figure out the bottlenecks in your system, and this came from our preparation. The bottleneck may not be the emergency room; it may be the operating room, the anesthesiologist. So we prepared this in advance. Everybody was called in, from extra nurses, extra techs, extra, custodians. They may save more lives than anybody by preventing infection. So this is a team effort, and we were prepared for this, and the whole team was called in.
Thank you.
Just the last thing, we're gonna stay on lockdown till 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, we'll reassess the situation, make sure we're safe. I don't plan on having another one of these unless something drastically changes, okay? But if we do, we'll get the notification out to everybody. But thank y'all for being here. And one final word just to everybody listening to our voice today and tonight is when you go to bed tonight with your families, you need to grab them and hold on tight, because nobody's guaranteed the next day. And grab onto your families and love them, and pray for our staff, our doctors, and these victims families, and hold on to your loved ones tonight. And all we can say is, God bless Texas, God bless Odessa and Medical Center, United States, and love on your family tonight. And thank y'all very much. That's all.